Hello, 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 Milwaukee. Wake up. Today is election day. We are still here. Michelle did take like a 45-second break. She's back. We are here for what we're calling today, Your Vote is Your Voice. Extended election coverage for Election Day here, April 5th, Tuesday. Michelle and I are in the studio. Looks like we're going to be here for some hours.
It's going to be crazy today.
Tony has just come in, Tony Cash. So this is going to be somewhere.
It's about to get serious.
We are so excited and grateful. We're laughing and we're joking, but we are really excited for this opportunity. We've met a few times regarding today and the importance of what it is that we need to be able to convey, and also that the radio station is here as a tool for people in the community to be able to call in. We just had someone call in about some issues at Marshall Morris. Those are wards 71, 72, and 73. And that's what we want to be able to do today, is keep the community informed, keep people that can actually do something about any of these issues informed. And you've been having some good calls on Sherwin's show this morning on the forum. I know you're ready to switch hats now a little bit.
Look,
don't get you started.
Sherwin can have his show.
She can have his show.
It's a little too hot up in here. Folks calling ready to snap. Like, hold on. But you know, one thing I wanted to do as a holdover from the calls we got during Sherwin's show, someone talked about Chris Abele releasing information about what Larson had said, Senator Larson, the derogatory remarks he had made to Senator Taylor. Chris Abele did not release that information. In fact, that information was broke right here on Sherwin Hughes' show. That's how many of us found out about what happened. And Chris Abele referenced it on the Mike Goucher interview when Goucher was interviewing both candidates for county executive, and a question about the African American community had come up, and Chris Larson went to great detail to try to berate the county executive's response about the House of Corrections. And so it was brought up in that context. He didn't openly.
He has not put out any press releases. He has not put out any.
Well, no,
He has. Okay. Wait a minute.
But what he hasn't done is tried to openly make this, an issue. Look, Chris Larson stepped in his own mess. He had to be accountable for his own stuff. And so I can't imagine people not wanting to know that you got somebody who's trying to represent you, who thinks so little of folks from the community, that you walk around telling people, they got mental health problems, and did you take your meds today? And it took him forever and 20 million days. Okay, that's an exaggeration, but it took forever to get a real apology. He didn't apologize, and
it was still a vague apology.
You never took responsibility for what you said
and ownership.
You didn't apologize until the heat was turned up. I'm sure some of your supporters, who actually happen to be mental health people and nurses, and he kept loving to say, my wife is a psychologist, so hopefully she really was in your behind about what you said, because it was inappropriate. You didn't apologize, though, you meaning Chris Larson, until finally, I'm sure a number of your supporters was like giving you the business about it, and then you finally had to come out and say, reluctantly, I apologize. But I just need to clear that up, because that caller kind of got me with that one.
Right. So once again, this is where misinformation gets put out into the community, and then people, even though she was a supporter of Abele, she still was operating.
She didn't say. No.
She was still operating on incorrect information. So Sherwin Hughes did break that story here on the forum, on his show. And since then, you've seen it in the Journal Sentinel. You've seen it all over social media and the internet. So people should know that that is not something that specifically and purposely came from Abele's camp. We want to tell you a little bit about what we're playing. I know we got some callers. Callers, just hold on for one moment. There's going to be a lot of different people in here today behind the mic. Michelle and I are just going to start you off, but we have I would say, people in the community who care about this community, who are going to come in and guest host with us today. We're We're going to have people calling in from the various campaigns. You've heard them earlier on the forum. We're going to have people calling in from Hillary Clinton's campaign. Also, from Bernie Sanders. Michelle just received a text. We're going to have people calling in from the Sanders campaign. And later on today, we're going to have any of the candidates that were endorsed by the Courier. We're going to have them in studio with us today. So it's going to be a long day. Tell your friends to tune in. They can listen.
It's going to be a good day. Folks going to vote today.
We want to know what number you were at your poll when you voted. Call in and give us that information. If you had any issues, call in and let us know about that. And let us know what's going on at the polls. We're going to start and take some of these callers. Caller, thank you for holding.
Oh, good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Can you hear me? Okay, all right. Hey, I hate to be one of these naive callers, but if you're not a politician, you don't know a whole lot about any of the candidates, but you do want to vote, where would I go to a website or something to that effect to kind of give me the whole layout on all the candidates and, including, aldermen, presidents, that sort of thing? What's the truth? Obviously, if you surf the net long enough, you get all kinds of crap.
I think one good thing always to do is start with the websites of the candidates. Who better to tell their story than, the candidate themselves? Every candidate, not obviously, but every candidate hopefully will have a website. In terms of the ballot, what you're talking about is the presidential primaries. So, depending on whether you're going to fall under the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, are you okay on that level?
Yeah, that level, yeah. I do have my hand on that, but it's just in terms of the candidates itself.
Okay, so then on the judicial races, we have a important race for Supreme Court. Joanne Kloppenberg is running against Rebecca Bradley. Bradley, who's been appointed by Governor Scott Walker for on three different occasions. That's where you might have seen some of the drama in the media about some really harsh comments that were made by Bradley. Are you okay on that race?
Yeah.
Okay. So then other races on the judicial side, the only race that looks like, hey, I'm helping this brother. Ptosha trying to hate and not give you what you need. I'm making sure you're not there with a Post-it with your people's names written down in your hand. So we have a couple of other races on the judicial side that are contested races. Circuit Court Judge Branch 31, Hannah Dugan and Paul Raphael. They both have websites you can go to. Branch 45, Jean Marie Keys, Judge Keys, and Michelle Havas. They both have websites. Michelle Havas was a Walker appointee. Then we have the county executive race. You okay on that race?
Yeah. Yep,
all right.
Yep. So far, so good. Yep.
All right. So then we have the mayor. You okay on that race?
A little sketchy on that one.
But you know who's in play, right? Tom Barrett and Alderman Bob Donovan.
Absolutely.
If you haven't seen them commercials, Tom need to quit. Talking about he was about to slap a man in front of a 6-year-old child. Those commercials went in on Bob Donovan. But yeah, so that's that race. We have another contested race for the city comptroller, and that is Martin Mattinson, who currently is the incumbent, and former county supervisor Johnny Thomas is actually running for that seat. You okay on that one?
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
All right, and then we have just two
I think
left.
he just wanted you to talk to him, Michelle, because
Look,
he seemed to say he okay on
I
every
know,
race.
he really does seem to know most of the stuff, right? Well, I guess part of it is you just really didn't realize how much of it you actually already knew. So last but not least, we have city treasurer who's been posted up all day, need to leave some checks, Spencer Cox, running for city treasurer. He's the incumbent, and he is being contested by a guy named Rick Cassell, who was identifying himself as a socialist at community brainstorming, real interesting kind of cat. And then last but not least, at least for this particular ballot.
We don't know what district.
Yeah, because I don't know what aldermanic district you're in. But, we have Malele Cogs running against Tory Lowe. We have
Tory Lowe running against Malele Cogs.
I'm sorry. I meant to say, my bad. Clean it up. We have the incumbent.
Malele Cogs.
Miss Malele.
I'm in the Mural Park area, District 4.
Okay, so you got to maybe pull up my computer. All right, I'll pull it up. I'll shout it out over the radio. We going to a break, but I'll let you know, okay? All right, going to a break.
Your vote is your voice. You are in studio right now with Michelle Bryant and Ptosha Davis. I'm not going to do the whole, Silent P thing because I don't like my guy that's running the radio ad with the Silent J.
I know that is a hot mess.
Callers, we want to tell you we appreciate your patience. Just stay on the line. We will get to you. We are so excited to have joining us, calling in right now, Miss Erica Alexander.
Her name is Maxine Shaw. And for folks that don't know what's happening, man, this is the one and only Maxine Shaw character from Living Single. I mean, some of y'all might know her as Pam on the Cosby Show when she was still, doing her thing.
But most people.
But she became official on Living Single. What's happening? How you doing today, Miss Alexander?
You know what? I'm doing well, but Max is actually having a banner day. Wherever she goes, she gets such love, so I'm glad to receive it for her. And in a way, I get to, live vicariously through her. Thank you so much. It's great to be here, Michelle. How are you?
We are good. Before we can talk about anybody, what you did in that role for African American women, and I'm sorry, I hate to go here and have a moment, but for the dark skinned sisters, woo woo! I'm talking about you elevated fine and just made us fabulous, and then you was a bad lawyer. I almost cursed. You was a bad lawyer. I mean, you were so amazing in your role. It was like Strong Sister Central over there.
Oh, thank you. You know what? I appreciate that's actually one of the best, maybe the best thing that's happened to me is that I get a chance to not only have played that role, but as I was doing it, I didn't realize that I was being represented or had a representational sort of role inside of anybody's mind. So, my people that I've admired were Cecily Tyson, Lorraine Toussaint, people like that. And so the fact that you could say that, the fact that happened is a big deal because I guess growing up, there were very few black women on television and certainly not, say, young women who were just starting their lives. So thank you. It's a big deal. Thank you.
So this is Ptosha. I was telling Michelle when she said that you would be calling in. I said, she got a role right now. She's on Bosch. She plays the police chief's wife. And she was like, what? Let me Google that.
Thank God for Google. Otherwise, I would be absolutely
gone. I'm sleeping on Connie Irving. I didn't know.
She ain't no, look, let me tell you, she ain't no joke on that show either.
No, thank you. I do Last Man Standing, too. I play their Black Sarah Palin over there, Tim Allen. I do some comedy over there. I'm doing a show called Beyond. It's in Vancouver. It's a sci-fi show. I just wrote a movie about the Boys Choir of Harlem, and I have a comic book that I've created with my husband called Concrete Park. So I'm out here hustling and just, trying to expand my skill sets and make myself, I think as a person in entertainment, we're all in entertainment some way where you have different platforms and whatnot. But what we do is we entertain and we talk about things that are relevant, whether it's me with a script or you guys are talking about it in actual life current events. We're just out here trying to have a voice. And I'm really glad that for 30 some odd years, I've had a voice. But if you're in Hollywood and you haven't learned a new skill or tried to flip the script in some way, that's like certain death in a way. So I am constantly trying to make sure that I stay on the move.
Yeah, because you know you could have been one of them folks that ended up on Where Are They Now? So
you know what? They asked me to do that show. I said no, I don't want to do that show yet. Please leave me alone. Go get behind me, Satan. I said,
That's right. That's right. But we know that you are also calling in because of your relationship to the Hillary Clinton campaign. How we go from Connie Irving to the Hillary Clinton campaign?
Connie Irving is a professor, and so she would know exactly how we get there. For one thing, she's a woman of mind, body, and soul.
Okay.
I think that's important when you choose who represents you, and that's what we're doing. This election cycle, always comes up, and it's a big deal because it's a presidential cycle. But it's not about the candidates, and there are really good candidates out there. Senator Sanders is one of them, and Hillary Clinton is one of them. I vote usually Democrat, and so I am asking Hillary Clinton to hold the banner. But it's not about her. It's about me. It's about my family. It's about my community, and I've always loved how she's represented for that community, and I'll say our community, since my assumption is that we're of color. And also, I just like the way she's developed. I was with her in 2007, just so you know. I was very much her fan and her surrogate, and then when President Obama won and she went to campaign for him, I, of course, put all my energy around President Obama. But I've always paid attention to Hillary Clinton. I'm a child. People know me from Max and Living Single and Cousin Pam, but I'm from Arizona. I'm from up in the mountains. Both my parents were orphans. They had 6 kids, and we lived my first 13 years of life were in a hotel off of Route 66 called the Starlight Hotel. What? And so I very much always think about how much good a person is doing by all the means they can, and she's always done that. So I also went to a all-girls high school in Philadelphia. My father moved around a lot. He was Church of God in Christ, and then eventually moved to Lutheran, and they sent him to the Theological Seminary in Philadelphia. That's where I was discovered at Freedom Theater, and I went to Girls High. And while we were there, I had very strong teachers, male and female, and they always told us, look for your female role models. Look for role models, whatever gender, and take that as a blueprint. And Hillary Clinton was one of my biggest blueprints. I absolutely have been mentored by her, even though she didn't know it. I was mentioning Cecily Tyson and Lorraine Toussaint, and they are my role models as well. But Hillary Clinton was one of them. So when she said she was going to run, I said, I'm going to back her. And by the way, people need to know that she had a long history of working inside of our community, whether it was in South Carolina, working for the Children's Defense Fund with Marion Edmund Wright, or she went to investigate school segregation in Alabama. She went undercover to expose them getting exemptions and going around the Brown versus Board of Education. She was doing that before she was Hillary Clinton. She was still Hillary Rodham. I'm really excited that she's running and that she's decided to run again. But again, it's not about her. It's about everything she can do for us.
You know, I think in all the surrogate calls that we've had, when people have made the case for support and why they support, their particular candidate, Erica, this is probably one of the more meaningful moments, because you understand the implications of this person for this presidency, for this community, for this demographic. And then to personalize it, I was struck when you just talked about living in a hotel for 13, did you say 13 years until you were 13 years old?
Yeah.
These are the things that I know that both candidates are speaking to, these working class, poor families, middle class families, folks struggling, trying to get into whatever the next class is, even though it seems like every time you think you hit it, they move the needle a little bit more and you realize you haven't made it still. But to be able to personalize what whoever will be in that office has to do for a community, it is significant. But there are folks that are saying that Hillary and Bernie aren't that far apart. So is there something that we should be looking at differently or helping people to understand or to see that is a noticeable difference between the two of them?
Yes, I think so. 93% of their voting record is the same. It's similar because they're Democrats, let's face it. Usually Democrats are not that far apart. So you have to look to their records. You have to look at their results. I believe that her results are outstanding. I mean, we talk about, I think, black people especially, they've been asking, why are they overwhelmingly backing Hillary Clinton? Because she has results that are, they're very clear. We're not talking about pictures of marching with Martin Luther King and they're black and white. She has color pictures of what she's done today and what she's done since the 70s and 80s and the 90s and now 2000s that really matter. And one of the things that I'd like to talk about, because I think for the black community, all of this, everything we're talking about right now, Michelle, is compounded by systematic racism. And for women, it's compounded by gender inequality. So if you're a black woman, it's like, good luck. I was in Chicago not too long ago, and they were telling me about the stats in the Great Recession, like black women sustained 42% of the job losses. And even we're only 13% of the female workforce. We also, by the way, the median wealth for a single white woman is $41,500. For a black woman, it's $100. That is deep. That means we're not getting paid what we need to be paid, and we're making usually about $8,000 to $10,000 less than any man, right, black and or white. So when President Barack Obama went his first day in office, he signed a bill that was on his desk. It was called the Lilly Ledbetter Act. It was co-sponsored by Hillary Clinton. She was one of the people that put it on his desk. It was the first bill he signed. And it was about it was a Fair Pay Act. That's one of the things when he got there was there. The Children's Health Insurance Program, people use it to this day. It's been there since 1996. Everybody knows that there's Obamacare, but Hillary Care was what it was called when she was trying to get it. They beat her up. They beat her down. She did not get universal single payer like she was trying to get, like Senator Sanders wants now. But what she resurrected was the Children's Health Insurance Program. That covers over 8 million children today. She also stood up when she was in China, and they were preferring young children. They wanted little girls to boys. They were even killing them. And she stood up there and said, women's rights are human rights. It seemed like such a simple thing, but it was huge. The White House didn't want her to do it. She did it at the UN. They pulled her mic. She did it. She was like, I'm not going to let you stay in the dark and do this. I'm going to bring this to light. And it changed things. She was the first and only first lady to march in a gay pride parade. People need to get with that. They need to know that they say, well, she backed it late. Yes, but she was the only first lady to ever march in a gay pride parade. And late for her, it was an evolution, like for all of us, coming in and supporting the rights of transgender, gay, LGBT. There was a lot of things like this, and I'm really excited, and you should go online and see what she's done. But with Senator Sanders, and like I say, he's a good man, but he voted 5 times against the Brady Bill. The Brady Bill is something that talks about whether we get, what is it when you go to get your gun and you register, and there's a period in between
waiting
that they want to make sure that you're, That Brady Bill is only a 3-day period. It created the Charleston loophole. That loophole created the ground that when that young man went down to South Carolina and got that gun,
right,
and it came up that he shouldn't be able to get the gun, he'd have to come back. In 3 days, it was still pending. And by law, they could still sell him the gun. They sold him that gun. 9 people were shot in Bible school. So he says he's protecting his constituents in Vermont because, they're rural farmers. But she's a senator from New York, and most of New York is rural. But she got behind that Brady Bill for the right reason. She doesn't think about borders. She has to think about the world, not only New York, but Arkansas, not only Arkansas, but beyond Mexico. There are no borders. She's a global citizen. She's gone around the world. She's fought for Africans and African women. And that's what the difference is. It's a huge difference, but it matters.
You know what, Erica? I just want to say that, again, clearly not just somebody that's been brought on to toot somebody's horn, the depth of information that you've provided. Lilly Ledbetter, and I actually knew Senator Clinton's role, or Secretary Clinton's role in Lilly Ledbetter. I am a native of Alabama, and that case, which was about pay equity,
right,
for that to be the very first bill that was put on the president's desk that he signed. Lilly Ledbetter was a white woman who actually was a Republican and was being paid $3,700 a month when her male counterparts were being paid between $4,200 and $5,200 a month, and they were all managers doing the exact same job. And in some cases, she had more seniority than these other guys. She didn't find out about it until after she left the company, which was Goodyear, and when she went back to go sue, she couldn't sue because the statute of limitations had run out. So to be able to change the rule, so we got the deck stacked against us, both on the legal side, because you didn't know what was happening. So for that to be something that Senator Clinton helped shepherd to the president's desk, and it was his very first official act, along with all the other items that you've outlined, you've mentioned things today that we haven't heard from other surrogates. So I just want to say, Erica, how much the call has meant. Hopefully somebody heard something before the polls close today at 8 p.m. You've been phenomenal, and we really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule just to kick it with us, Max. We show.
Maxine,
thank you. This has been a wonderful way for me to spend my day. Again, we're all in this together, and I just want everybody to know that change takes a long time on the landscape, but sometimes you can change the weather, and that's what we're talking about. We're trying to change the conditions above ground while the landscape changes, while we move things, and that takes time. And so I'm in it to win it. I think we as African Americans have been the impetus of change, not only America, but in the world. We're only 13% of this population, and yet we move hearts and minds. That's right. And we should never forget our power. And so I know we've been through a lot. We're tired. We're grieving all the things that's happened. Like every time we look up on Facebook, there's something that's happening. Somebody getting shot, choked out on the street, children being thrown across the room, South Carolina like they're nothing. We've gone through a lot of very tough daily just in our minds, and this election season is tough for us, but we have to keep our eyes on the prize. It does matter who we vote for and how we vote, and also pay attention to your local legislation, please. But for Wisconsin, it means everything that you guys are in it, and I'm glad that this election matters and that they're paying so much attention to your local situation. It matters. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Again, we appreciate your time. We were talking to the one and only Erica Alexander of Living Single fame. And Ptosha, Yosha,
Bosh.
All right.
You're so wrong.
Take it easy. We will take a station break and come back on the other side.
Your vote is your voice. We are here in studio live all day long until 8 p.m. Today is Tuesday, April 5th. It is election day. We want to make sure that you all get out and vote. We have one caller that has been so patient on the line. Caller, thank you for holding. Do you have a question or a comment?
Good afternoon, ladies. I hear y'all having a wonderful time.
We just trying to keep it.
Go ahead. Max just got out of there. I wanted to ask her how Dana was doing. You know, my cousin from here, he actually helped do a lot of production for Queen Latifah out there, and actually helped set up her studio when she was in the music and had those acts.
Dude, you call us the name drop.
I can't. His name is Alfonso.
Did you vote?
Jones.
Did you vote today?
His name is Alfonso Jones. He's working for Sony now.
Black people. You call us the name drop.
Did you vote today?
No, I didn't. I was calling to talk about the negativity that was coming in earlier.
Okay.
That I don't even know why you gave me the time of day. You should just, get back, because you're trying to kill what we're doing over here. And you guys are doing a wonderful job, you know. You're pushing, you promoting the vote, you know, and I'm definitely impressed with that. I wanted to ask one question before Chris Abley got out of there. He just got away. I hope he's somewhere listening. You know, he really feels the pressure. Okay, and I was hoping somebody called in. I wouldn't have to wait so long to let him know that, hey, you feel the pressure. If you don't do right by us this time, we're serious, man. We're going to get you out of there. But we got to go with the status quo right now, because other things aren't looking like they were introduced to the people. So a lot of people are taking a turn, and that's going to hurt the other candidates. But he really needs to understand something, that we are fed up with the status quo. And I had some questions asked about transportation, but he's gone now.
So hold on. We're going to have him back this afternoon because we got a number of text messages. So do me a favor. He'll be back in like the 3 to 4 hour. Just hang out with us, and we'll let you call back in. Some of the stuff that you said we wrote down, and we'll get him back and get you some answers.
I wanted to know about the transfer. You know, don't these people got to pay now? They have to get off one bus and pay money to get on another bus?
Well, not if it's all done on the one, the new M card or whatever it's called. But again, don't let me try to answer because I don't work for the county. So let's just make sure we get those questions, and then we'll have you either call back in or get answers for you during the 3 to 4 o'clock hour. Okay?
Right. You girls are doing a wonderful job. You know, we got to get amped up for that doggone that DA. Got to get out of here.
Okay, man.
We got to get.
We gotta go. All right,
thank
man.
Thank you for your call. Thank you for your call.
Love you.
And thank you for holding so long. You want me to gonna bring in
you know
the
what?
right reverend?
Look, so this is an important. Hey, Reverend Jackson, how you doing today, sir?
How are you? God bless Milwaukee and Wisconsin today.
We trying to hold it down. We are so happy to have you joining. We was trying to get one of the brothers off the phone, but you know how your people act. We couldn't get them off the phone right away.
Well, what the heck?
So we wanted to welcome you to the show today. We have extensive election coverage going on, and we understand that you have done an amazing commentary in the Chicago Times that was recently published. But when we heard about it, we had an opportunity to hear from you directly, particularly following the anniversary, the assassination of Dr. King on yesterday.
Yeah, the stakes are incredibly high. But, Dr. King lived and died fighting for the right to vote, to empower people. And in Wisconsin, the schemes to undermine the vote are as devastating as they were in Mississippi 50 years ago. We must fight back. In fact, they will suppress the vote, but we must not surrender it. We must not vote. Because if you want a Medicaid, you have to vote about it. You want more scholarships for your children, you have to vote about it. The power to serve on juries, you got to vote about it. You should have scholarships. All that we want must be fought. Like I say, Milwaukee, vote with a passion. Whatever is required, stay in line until something happens. But do vote.
Just, Reverend Jackson, you couldn't be more correct. Just to think about this morning, we've had a number of callers that have called in talking about voting equipment that wasn't already working. A couple of folks were discouraged because they didn't have the correct ID. And we know that this is all a test. It's not new.
Every time you go to a poll and they tell you something foolishness like that, be sure to document it so that we'll be able to follow up on it, because Scott Walker wants to steal or control this election. We cannot let it happen.
And we know
if they suppress, we fight back.
Right. We know that they estimate, and I know that you had that as a part of your article, that roughly 300,000 voters could be, impacted by the new photo ID requirements. And those folks usually, again, as we've said over and over today, tend to be younger, poor, and people of color. We estimate about 19,000 people in the city of Milwaukee will be negatively impacted by photo ID. So what would you say, in addition to, the folks that have to be able to stand in those lines today, go down to the DMV?
If you go to vote and you're turned down, you can vote affidavit number 1.
And that's our provisional ballot here in Wisconsin. Yes, sir.
That's provisional ballot, what that means. But don't walk away protest. We spend a lot of time getting the right to vote, and the reason why they try to take it back, because it's valuable. The vote will determine the next president. It will determine the next governor. It will determine options for teachers. And so don't miss this moment. The day before 1968, he was killed. But the day he lives, he must live amongst us.
Better words and truer words have never been spoken. I know that this time period also holds personal significance for you as somebody who was one of the many soldiers who not only, was there. I couldn't even imagine actually being, I've looked at that photo so many times. It's just crazy to actually imagine being there when Dr. King was assassinated. I had an opportunity. I had never seen the clip where Bobby Kennedy had to tell the group that had shown up at his rally that Dr. King.
Painful, wasn't it?
Yes, sir. And I mean, it was being aired
on. I was with him in conversation. We were talking, and on the way to dinner, the Reverend Billy Collins' home, the bullet hit him in the neck, broke his necktie, really shot went across my head, and I heard someone say, "Get low," because we thought he may have been spreading bullets. He did his dirty dirt and he ran. But because somebody paid that kind of price for the right to vote, don't let them down. Vote for Dr. King today. Vote for your grandma who couldn't vote. Vote for your great-grandfather. Don't let anything stop you and take away your friends. If they want to take it, don't you give it away.
Yes, sir. Reverend Jackson, we appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to call us. We know that if anybody is working today around the country, we know that you are having an impact, and we appreciate you thinking of us here in Wisconsin and taking the time out to speak with us this afternoon.
Thank you very much. And give Houston my regards, all right?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Speaking of the judicial system, it is rough. What we talk about was done in Wisconsin along the lines of voter ID legislation. This fight has been ongoing, I want to say, since 2009 is when we first began to see some of the legislation emerge. It's gone through a number of court battles, and we began to really appreciate, if we hadn't, and we should have, the importance of having the right folks sitting on the bench at every level in the judicial process. We have been joined by a young man, and I mean young. I'm looking. Look, he represents, is it Branch 31?
Branch 31,
You
Milwaukee.
don't look old enough to represent Branch 31. But it is a pleasure today to have with us Judge Paul, and say your last name, Paul.
Rafael.
I've had so much fun.
Silent J.
It's the silent J at the end of
Well,
the name.
you know what? I'm Silent P. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I had someone say that I should become a rapper and be Silent J and have that as my name if the judicial thing doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Nah, keep your day job.
Yeah.
I was going to say, keep your day job.
I will do just that. Hopefully, that's what we're trying to do.
But it is a pleasure to have you in here. There has been a lot of conversation about your particular candidacy and race. A number of people have been concerned about, number one, Scott Walker appointees. Number two, whether or not we've had DAs or public defenders being moved into some of these judgeships. And I think that you're actually unique and actually have a couple of people that support you because of the different background that you bring to the bench. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Well, I grew up in the Milwaukee area, and I went to the University of Wisconsin, got my degree in accounting, got my degree in law, and after that, instead of doing business law, which is what everybody sort of expected me to do, I went into public defense instead, and I've done that. I've done trial work, doing indigent defense for my entire career, first in solo practice and then in the state public defender's office. Really, when you get a judge, what you're getting is not a set of policies, because people in the legislature make policies. But for judges, it's all about your values. And what kind of values do you have? What kind of values can you prove that you have to people? And for the people who talk to me about my experience in the public defender's office, what they know, I've done that for over a decade. You can't fake that sort of devotion to the work. And when you're talking about protection of the rights of the vulnerable, fair and equal treatment for all in front of the law, and recognition that those values benefit everybody in society and not just the people that are appearing in front of you. Those are the kind of values that people know I have because of the work that I've done and because of the work that they've seen me do in the public defender's office.
And, we need to take a break, but we will give you an opportunity to come back on the other side because, like I said, I know some folks had called. They had questions about who you were. And it's funny, though. When I came out to greet you in the foyer, the first thing I said, hey, and you said, I know who you are. It means a lot when we know we have folks that are in the community, know who people in the community are, and are a part of the fabric of our area. So we'll come back on the other side of the break, and we are being joined at this moment by Judge Paul. Go ahead.
Rafael.
Rafael, Silent J.
I thought you were going to get it, Michelle.
All right.
Welcome back to Your Vote is Your Voice here on 860 AM WNOV. The Voice. We will be live here in the studio all day today until 8 p.m.
If you could not use your sexy voice, this is serious business. We're trying to get folks elected.
More listeners, the more more people that
you
vote.
Sounded like the quiet storm up in here.
Hey, don't hate Michelle. And y'all, me and Michelle are good friends. We've been friends for years. And so when y'all hear us going, don't listen to her. When y'all hear us going back and forth, it's all in love. Michelle, I'm going to let you finish the interview that you were doing with your buddy over here.
No, not a
with
problem.
The Silent J.
Not with the Silent J. Look, the new rapper.
It's sticking in your head, isn't it?
Yeah. That should be, you should use that as a campaign slogan.
Really?
I'm joking.
Well,
it was on your
we
commercial.
have people make suggestions for it.
When you leave here, take no advice from Ptosha. So before we went to the break, we had gotten a call from Reverend Jesse Jackson, again, just to hear him recount the assassination assassination of...
and don't take no advice from Ptosha. You talking about the attempt.
Hey, I caught it. It's just so crazy. But to hear him talk about that the bullet actually grazed his head. Yeah. And so all of the landmark work that was done by civil rights activists to position people to, number one, I remember there was a speech that Dr. King had that said, just give us the ballot. And this was done, I think, like in May 1957. But he talked about, we don't need social programming services. We don't need X, Y, and Z. Give us the ballot, the ability to vote for people who will promote and monitor our interest. Paul, I had an opportunity to see you at community brainstorming, along with a number of candidates that were there this past month. And when you were talking about your campaign, there was this voice in the background cheering and echoing on. Senator Taylor, y'all know who she is. But she was ecstatic because you were someone that had come from the public defender's office.
Sure.
What about that resonated for Senator Taylor, and should the community understand why is that relevant to the job you're trying to do now?
Yeah, I think what really resonated with Senator Taylor and others when I've presented it this way is that the job of a public defender, if you're doing the job well, then your job is to absolutely fully understand your client's whole story, your client's humanity, and then to force the system that is in many ways designed to kind of steamroll over that humanity to stop and say, no, you are going to take account of my client as an individual, as a human being, and if necessary, we got to slow things down. We're going to take some more time, and you are going to appreciate my client's humanity. That is always one of my main goals as a public defender. And I think that message has been very important for people, to have someone on the bench for whom that is one of the top priorities.
Well, it seems like it's a couple of themes about you that are kind of resonating with people, because I opened up our interview with you talking about the fact that you have been actually nominated, appointed by Republican Governor Scott Walker.
That's correct.
Normally the kiss of death, let me just tell you right now on this radio station. But you also have the support of other groups.
Yeah, so groups like the Milwaukee Area Labor Council have endorsed me, and that was based on my track record for public service in many ways. I'm the only person appointed by Governor Walker to the bench that I know of who has received that endorsement. And even the people in the meeting, when we met and had this wonderful meeting with the folks at the Labor Council, they said, I can't believe we're doing this, because you don't necessarily have to approve of the governor to approve of a judge that was appointed by him. And there's an analogy to what's going on at the United States Supreme Court with Justice Garland, that here there are a lot of people saying we won't even consider this person because of the person who has put him in front of us. And that just seems, the whole idea of guilt by association, painting everybody based on one thing that you know about them with a very wide brush. Not only is it not just, but it's not judicial. You don't want judges on the bench that are going to do that with people.
That's right.
So if you see people trying to, particularly if they're judicial candidates, trying to say, don't trust this person because they're affiliated with this person. If they don't have evidence to back it up, then you really have to take that kind of condemnation with a grain of salt. This is one of the true bipartisan lists of supporters that you will see on any of the ballots. You're going to see liberals, you'll see conservatives, you'll see moderates. 33 judges in Milwaukee County have taken sides in this race, where they've said we endorse one candidate and not the other. All 33 judges have said we endorse Paul Rafel. 34 if you include myself, but I'm not including it that way. I don't think that would be just either, Michelle.
Well, you know what? It would have been great to have had you here earlier this morning, because that was one of the things that came up in the 9 to 12 o'clock block of time, where we were talking about we have moved to a point in our political landscape that it's unacceptable to work across party lines. People will demonize you for having a relationship, having a conversation. And I just don't know that we get to do that, particularly in a state where the governor's office, both houses of the legislature are controlled by Republicans. We don't have the luxury, and when I say we right now, I just mean Democrats, and that's the reference from which I'm speaking. We don't have the luxury of not working with someone. Somebody actually opined for a Tommy Thompson governor.
A gubernatorial run?
Thank you. I mean, well, no. But just the fact that when Tommy Thompson was in office, you could work across the aisle.
That was part of the legacy.
There was some compromise in there. You knew that it wasn't shot down or an appointment wasn't shot down just because they were connected to somebody from the opposite party. So the fact that you come to the table with bipartisan support, I think is huge. Something that, again, I think you've laid out very clearly and articulately for the community why you have to be cautious about people that bring that type of perspective to a judicial election and or appointment. We know you got to run. This is that day where you are
It's
out.
the big day.
Yes.
We're trying to stay sane today.
So before you go, parting words for our listeners who are sitting on the fence about this guy with the funny last name, and why should they support you?
Well, as I
And
said
say
before,
the name so everybody knows.
the reason that you should vote for Paul Raffel
There
in
you
Branch
go.
31, obviously you want to choose a judge that has the kind of values that you want on the bench, someone who is able to foster an environment of trust. And I have sort of reached across the typical party lines and divide. I even did that in the courtroom as well by working well with the prosecutors that are in there and understanding their job as well. And working with everybody that came in front of me. My job as a defense attorney was to fully understand and appreciate the humanity of my clients and relay that. As a judge, I've been doing that for everybody in the courtroom. And typically the people who have been in my courtroom have said that the judge was respectful, he was kind to everyone, he was prepared. And that's the kind of judge really that you want in Milwaukee County. I was really proud that the Courier endorsed me as well.
They did.
In part because they said we're going to reach across. This is not something that is typically done, but we recognize that when you look at the individual merits of a candidate and you are not electing a party to Branch 31, you are electing an individual to Branch 31, that we think this individual, whatever his appointment origin was, this guy is the guy we want on the bench. So I hope to have your support today.
Well, Paul, it has been an extreme pleasure. Just one quick question. I said I was going to wrap it, but how long is this appointment?
6 years. Each
Is there a
term.
downside to this job?
Is there a down? Well, there is. And the downside, I felt it right away when I took the bench. I really loved the team environment, the teamwork, being in the trenches with my colleagues at the public defender's office. And a judge, they send you back into chambers and it's quiet. It drives me nuts. I take work onto the bench or then sometimes even into the cafeteria just to have the noise and the ruckus environment that I've been accustomed to.
Yeah, because that was one, and I'm glad you actually went exactly where I wanted you to go, because we don't often think about what it requires to actually make some of the decisions that you make. You shoulder often a lot of responsibility on your own for how things are run in the court room that you manage. So for folks that are on the fence, we have had an amazing conversation. Hopefully you've heard something that will move you to go with the candidate that has been endorsed by the Milwaukee Courier, and that is Judge Paul Raffel. Did I say it right?
Raffel.
That's
close enough. My bowling nickname is Rifle, so you can always go with that.
Okay, I can go with that too. For Branch 31 on the ballot. Thank you so much for coming in, Paul.
Thank you, Michelle.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right. We've been joined by Keon. What's happening? Turn it up. The party just got started. Keon, how you doing today? All right. So we have, again, a full slate of folks that are scheduled to join us. We have some more phone calls that will be coming in. Hillary surrogates, I think, are queued up and waiting to go. Y'all, I'm just telling you right now, this is a madhouse. I'm loving it.
And if you have been holding or you're saying the line is busy, unfortunately,
we appreciate you, boo.
Hold on. There's nothing we can do. The lines are lit up, and we'll get to everybody and clear the lines. We're letting Keon get set up.
But as soon as you come on, just start yelling at Ptosha right away, because it's her fault. I want to be clear. It's her fault. While we're also doing that, we want, what? You want to say something? Oh, okay.
You started before me, so you're going to be tired before me.
Look, you know what? I honestly got to say, I'm amped right now.
It's exciting.
We do need some of y'all, though, to call in with some updates on these polling locations and let us know exactly what's happening, what the numbers are. We were getting numbers like 100, 129 at 8 o'clock this morning. So we are hopeful that the community is continuing to do their part and hold it down.
I always like to look across the street at Atkinson Library and see
polling location right there, so we can kind of see what's happening. So this is show up and show out time. The whole country, in fact, I would say it's safe to say the world is watching right now. When we talk about the presidential primaries, folks have said we have the ability to like actually kind of slow down the Trump train and make a real dent. I mean, I'm not trying to hype nobody because Charlie Sykes drive me crazy, but he clowned Donald Trump, and it has had long-lasting ramifications. Now, don't get me wrong, Senator Cruz is crazy and scary, and Republicans, y'all really just need to clean house and figure out like what y'all gonna do, because yeah, y'all don't have nobody. See, my tired is kicking in. It's not even 2 o'clock. We in trouble.
To break, we're going to pay some bills. Michelle's going to be back on the other side.
I'm going to get some coffee so I can settle down.
With her voice over the break. You're listening to Your Vote is Your Voice on 860 AM WNOV. The Voice, the only place where you will get continuous election coverage all day long.
All day.
Back to Your Vote is Your Voice here on 860 AM WNOV, The Voice. In the studio today, right now, is Michelle Bryant, who's been holding it down since about, 9 a.m. this morning?
9 a.m.
She was the guest host on the forum with Sherwin Hughes. She sat in for Sherwin today. And I am Ptosha Davis. We are holding it down till the next crew comes through. We know we got some callers that have been holding. Thank you so much for your patience, callers. We're going to take one right now. Do you have a question or a comment?
I wanted to make a comment, please. I do appreciate that you all got up this morning and, really are doing the community a service by having, all the speakers and all. But I do feel, though, that it's important to have an educated electorate and to have a diverse candidates that represent our community. And I think it's absolutely biased the way you guys. I haven't heard any of the radio representatives, and you all have the megaphone. We here that have done our research and know about the various candidates have done our research. Some people depend on this radio station to give a fair and unbiased perspective on all candidates. And I've heard nothing but bashing of Larson all morning. You've done a very honorable job at letting both views on the presidential candidates be heard by various advocates. But this, I don't know why, it seems like specifically the people that I've heard this morning on this station have been very negative on Larson and touting everything that ably, honestly, have you guys invited Mr. Larson or any of his advocates to come on the station and to put his platform out to our community? Because I've done my research, and I saw how Mr. Abley, I voted for him. And I saw how I put my trust in someone that claimed to be a Democrat. And when they got in office, not personal, I don't need anyone to take my call, but at least to advocate on our individual community issues. Yes, he addressed issues with the House of Correction, but all of our people aren't in the House of Correction.
So thank you, first of all.
I'm just asking if you all could make sure you put an advocate or someone that could put Larson's platform out there.
Let me just take one quick second and tell you the most honest answer I can give you. That ain't gonna happen, and I'm telling you that from a couple of perspectives. Number one, I work actually for County Executive Abley. That's not the role that I was here in this morning when I was covering for Sherwin Hughes. But I am also speaking as someone who has personally been impacted by Senator Larson and his band of people that, have sought to shut down my voice as an African-American woman in this community who advocates on behalf of our community. I can't help, whatever support you have for Senator Larson ain't got Jack A coming from me. And I am not going to move a platform forward that I believe that hurts this community. The other thing that we need to be conscientious of is that Gerald Jones and Courier Communications owns this radio station. And the same way everybody can't get on 620, the same way everybody can't get on 1130, does not have to be
unbiased.
A fair application in terms of these candidates. The station has taken a position on the candidates that they have endorsed, and those are the candidates that are being moved forward. Anybody that tells me that you have not seen the work that Chris Abley has done on behalf of the Milwaukee community, and you tell me you've done research, I'm going to have to challenge and question that research, because if you did the same research on Chris Larson, aside from one bill that he's passed in his entire legislative career in the Senate, I'd be interested to tell me what else you can find. It was all of the Democratic senators who left town during Act 10 and the fight for that. Chris Larson just happened to be the guy that was selected to stand out front, but all of those legislators did that. Chris Larson has no proven track record of delivering anything to Milwaukee. When you look at the fact that he had no problem removing the only African-American legislator on the Joint Finance Committee, the only Milwaukee representative on the Joint Finance Committee, it just amazes me that people keep trying to defend somebody who, when they had an opportunity to defend you, an opportunity to look out for you, made a different choice that was based on his personal need. My need not to work with somebody that I don't get along with. So, shortcoming, Chris Larson ain't got nothing coming on here today.
Okay. Next caller. Caller, thank you for holding. Do you have a question or a comment?
Hi.
Hi.
Good show today. That was a good rendition of You Ain't Having It. But, I didn't know that we had a county comptroller.
We do. We have a county comptroller and a city comptroller. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, who is this county comptroller? I never heard of that before.
County comptroller is...
And I think they're unopposed, if I'm
they
not
are
mistaken.
unopposed.
Yeah, he's unopposed. His name is Scott Mansky.
Yep. Let's see, where is it?
What do he do? he's under Chris Larson.
No, he's not under Chris Larson. Let's be clear. Chris Larson is a state senator.
No, I'm talking about on the sheet here I'm looking at.
Oh,
I'm trying to make
okay. On the ballot. Yes, ma'am. No, they are the folks that look at the budget, sign off on numbers, talk about what can and can't be done. But yes, ma'am, Scott Mansky doesn't have an opponent. And in fact, I'll pull up some information on Scott just so we can tell you.
And we'll talk about it a little bit later.
What's happening, okay?
Thank you for bringing that to our attention and calling in. Caller, thank you for holding. You have a question or a comment?
Yeah, that lady that just called in, you gave it to her with both arrows. I am so
Can you turn your phone, can you turn your radio down? Or you're talking through an earpiece? We can't hear you clearly.
Okay. Sorry.
That's
okay. You gave it to her with both barrels. I am so impressed with that. You had the specs down, you had the information correct. Now I know she's saddened because she took that one deal that the anteater lady, what's her name? Gwen Moore, the lady that she took that, and Gwen Moore has some hidden agenda. What we need to do is look at her track record, and maybe we need to galvanize the community if we can find someone that's there to that can actually work on the people's behalf and get something done. Because she stirred up a beehive. I mean, hornets are everywhere now. We've got to do the right thing, and I'm so proud of you, okay? Goodbye.
Well, thank you, but let me just clear up something and be real clear, because I don't need no extra problems. Congresswoman Moore. Look, I understand that I am a rookie to this game, and I ain't going to have nobody smacking me upside my head. I don't have no problem with Congresswoman Moore. At the end of the day, everybody gets to choose and support who they want to. Congresswoman Moore made her choice. I'm just telling people that I've made mine. And I'm making mine based on my personal relationship with the folks that work with Chris Larson and what they did to try to stop me from becoming chair of the vice chair of the Democratic Party. And, look, I always say at the end of the day. I'm not going to say that because the end of the day ain't coming to 8 o'clock. But what I will say is that Congresswoman Moore has a record all on her own that she can stand on, where she has brought back dollars and resources from the federal level to this community twofold. We will actually have a day, and you watch and mark my words, when we gonna all have to rally behind Congresswoman Moore, because there will be people that will come at her seat as well. In fact, and I don't care because I'm gonna say it, truth be told, it was rumored a while ago that Chris Larson was looking at trying to go at Congresswoman Moore's seat. So, and I know I'm not the only one that knows that in the community. Nobody else has to call it and verify it, but it was well known because he think he's smarter than everybody, no more than everybody. But Congresswoman Moore, man, I'm not touching that. She got her own record, and she is fabulous on her own.
Thank you, caller. Just to back up Michelle over here, I know we're going to take this next caller in just a moment, but let's be clear. This show is being brought to you today by 860 AM WNOV, The Voice, which is also owned by Courier Communications. And if you have not picked up the most recent issue of Courier Communications to find out which candidates they are endorsing, please do so. It's also on Facebook, and you can go to MilwaukeeCourierOnline.com to find out the candidates that the Courier has endorsed for this particular election. Caller, thank you for holding. You have a question or a comment?
Yeah, it's basically a comment. Good afternoon, Keon, Michelle again, and Ptosha. You feeling better there, Michelle?
We hanging in there.
Okay, all right. Well, I got it in. I was number 282 at my poll.
That's what I'm talking about. All right.
What ward was that?
That's Ward 26 over Richard Kluge.
Showing up and showing out. That's my community. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so, it's Joe Davis's district is Alderman there, but it's right there off of Silver Spring and Thurston and Carmen, actually.
Perfect.
Thank
little
you.
School down there. But the booths were full and a steady stream coming out. There were no lines, but, so you could, get in and get out after you got your paperwork taken care of. But, yeah, 282,
That's all right.
Bunch of people I knew. The sunshine is pretty. But that breeze is off that water to let you know that water's still cold.
You still in Milwaukee? You in Wisconsin? Don't act like you don't know.
Right. So get something warm and get some hot chocolate in you. But get it done, though. All right. I'm tuned in.
All right. Thank you so much for listening, and we appreciate that call. This is what we're trying to do. We want to make sure we know what's going on out here in the city.
We have another caller, Michelle. Caller, thank you for holding. You have a question or a comment?
Yes. I know you from a long time ago with the foster children, so you tell the butt-naked truth anyway.
I like that would be Michelle.
Michael McGee would say, he would say the butt-naked truth. You put it, they should have you on there on Tuesdays for women to come. Oh, my God, people are calling in. This is great. This is, But you keep on keeping the butt-naked truth.
Look, yes, ma'am. We got to sing Mike McGee a check.
We're going to be like Michelle, buck-naked truth, Bryant.
See, all this butt, no. We're going to need to cover up.
Okay, Keon, I know you've done some work. We got a while before our next break, right? Okay.
All right. So just so you know, though, we are expecting a call from Congresswoman Marsha Fudge. Masara, Delta Sigma Theta in the house. I'm sorry. I had a moment. No, I can't say that.
Michelle, buck naked.
But we are going to be getting a call from Congresswoman Marsha Fudge. When I say this sister is all that, 2 bags of chips. She's actually calling, though, as a surrogate, once again, for Hillary. Bernie people, I'm just saying.
But let's
before
be clear,
somebody called,
they were given the same opportunities.
I did receive a text message from Bernie's crew indicating that he was running behind schedule. He was going to try to get on board. I just want people to make sure that they clear. We are not showing favoritism here.
In the presidential.
Not at all. Let's be clear.
Let's be clear.
In the presidential. Because in the county exec race, it's some stuff happening. But we have a call. Might that be Congresswoman Fudge?
While that caller is coming in, I do want to say that it is good to see that there are candidates that understand the importance of the African American community, especially in these court races, because often our community is totally ignored when it comes to these races because people don't feel like we're either informed or we're going to come out and vote for them.
That's Congresswoman. Oh, okay. I'm excited.
Okay, Colin, thank you for calling. We still are happy to hear from you.
You're not Congresswoman Fudge, though.
You have a question or a comment?
I have a comment.
Yes.
This is Ty Jackson. I am with Commissioner Finley, and we're at Stewart School, and the lines are out the door. So many people here that
all right.
has had to put her elbows to the grind, and she's in there helping, registering and working the polls herself. She can't even go on about her duties because she's in there having to put her foot to the grind, and she's helping out.
Now tell us where this is. Where is it again?
Where's the school?
We're at Stewart School.
Where's that at?
This is we're over here on, we've been so many places.
That's okay.
This is on 86th Street.
Okay.
7001 76th Street.
Do you know the ward, what ward it is?
This is Ward 9 and 10.
Okay.
So we just know if we got folks coming over there to please be patient.
Oh, my God. The lines were at the door. People are just, it's nonstop here, and we're just excited. Just wanted to call in and let you know I've been listening to the radio. It's just nonstop. It is just warm and busy here, and we're excited about that. And I wanted to say hi to Michelle Bryant. I seen you at the debate, that Chris Abel and Chris Larson debate, and wanted to give you a shout out and say hi. And hi, Lena.
Well, you know what? We appreciate you. And tell me your name so I can say hi back in the correct way.
Ty Jackson.
Ty Jackson, that's right. I heard it. Hey, Miss Jackson, I do know now. I remember when I saw you at the debate. Thank you so much for the call. If you got time again today, hit us again and let us know what's going on, okay?
Well, let's see if we can get her out the door. I'm telling you, she cannot move yet. So
I heard
we're excited.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. All right. Talk to you soon. Out the door. Lines out the door. We got a caller on? Judge Kloppenberg is on the phone. Hey, Judge Kloppenberg.
Hi, how y'all doing?
We are good. Look, Keon said it's cracking in here. I don't talk to judges like that. I just want to say that we have some great energy in the room. It's pretty exciting.
I'm so glad, and I know it's radiating out throughout the city, so good for you guys.
Thank you. Where are you at, Judge?
I'm at my home right now, just kind of chilling and just feeling all the people voting all around.
Okay, Judge Kloppenberg, the fact that you said you was at home chilling, you just got my vote. You are fabulous. We are glad that you had an opportunity to call in today. We have a number of folks that are sitting on the fence, and I've been using that phrase so much I'm going to stop. I'm going to get a new one. But we have folks that have really said that they are struggling trying to make sure they do the right thing in terms of this Supreme Court race. This is a hugely important race. We know that the consequences, at the minimum will be around for 10 years, but we know how legislation works, that this could be life impacting. What do you have to say to folks, Judge Kloppenberg, about why they should be getting out, and more specifically, why they should be getting out in support of you?
Well, you said it really well. They should be getting out to vote for the Supreme Court justice, because what the Supreme Court does has a direct impact on all, their lives and their communities, and it decides issues like, search and seizure and our constitutional rights and our rights to privacy and all, our rights throughout every step of the criminal justice system as well as in civil cases. And we need to make sure we have a court that is not taken over by partisan politics and special interests, and voters should be voting for me because they can count on me to bring independence and integrity and experience to the court. I was elected to the Court of Appeals by the people of Wisconsin. I served all of the people of Wisconsin as an assistant attorney general at the Department of Justice for 23 years. My opponent was appointed 3 times to 3 judgeships in 3 years by Governor Walker. 53% of the lawyers and judges in the Milwaukee Bar Association poll rated her as unqualified to serve as a justice on our court. Twice as many Milwaukee County judges endorsed me as her. About twice as many judges around the state, including Justice Ann Walsh Bradley, endorsed me more than Rebecca Bradley. I'm endorsed by Congresswoman Gwen Moore and Judge Joe Donald and Val Phillips and also Justice Louis Butler. All of those folks have are saying I am the justice that people can count on to make sure that the court works as it should, as an independent check and balance on the other branches of government.
Judge Kloppenberg, we had excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want to get this out before we get either go to a break or switch calls. But we had a caller this morning who talked about you not receiving an appointment from President Obama, not receiving an appointment from Jim Doyle, and tried to characterize those acts as being rejected by the voters and by leadership. I know, or at least I think I remember that the last time you ran that you had nearly 750 or over 750,000 votes. Can you talk about what those opportunities have been like? I know that there are a number of people that are being considered, but I just was so taken aback by the characterization of being rejected by the voters when the race the last time with was it Judge Prosser was so close. Could you take a moment to talk about that, please?
Sure. I did apply. I did apply for vacancies to be appointed, but I did not have the political connections to get those appointments. It has nothing to do with the voters. It has everything to do with political connections. And we now know Rebecca Bradley had political connections to be appointed 3 times in 3 years by Governor Walker. As you noted, when I then decided, okay, enough with these appointments, I don't have the political connections, I am an independent, I went right to the people of Wisconsin, and I got 750,000 votes at that time, in the highest turnout ever in a Supreme Court race, and I lost by only 7,000 votes, less than 0.5%. So you were right. The people of the state spoke loud and clear that just shy, when I was running against an entrenched incumbent, I almost won.
That's
and in
right.
fact, I did win until they found those extra votes in Waukesha. So I'm building on that base now, and I am hearing from people around the state that they don't want partisan politics on the court. They don't want special interests on the court. And they, the partisan politics belongs in the executive and legislative branches, but they shouldn't be running our court. And I am the independent candidate here, but I'm also the only candidate who's been to all 72 counties, and I'm the only candidate voters can count on to listen to what the parties have to say when they come to the court with an open mind.
Well, I just want to say that we know that you have been endorsed by the Milwaukee Courier, and as someone who worked in the Capitol for a number of years and got to see, and I'll just be frank, on some levels, the deterioration of the decorum in the Supreme Court, the relationships in the Supreme Court, even, when we talk about the terms, in fact, term limits being imposed, 10-year limits. It would be wonderful to have someone go to the court who brings a sense of balance and fairness. I will never get past one of the Supreme Court justices being choked by another one. I mean, you just like, what in the world is going on?
Right. And when that person called about the appointments, they also ignored that I actually did get elected to the Court of Appeals, and I've been there for almost 4 years, and I've issued over 750 written appellate decisions, all but 1 or 2 of them unanimous. So I am just head and shoulders above Rebecca Bradley in terms of experience and in terms of having a record showing that I'm independent and impartial.
Well, I think that what happened at community brainstorming was certainly indicative of how a lot of the folks in the community feel. The response there was overwhelming, received to great cheers. I actually saw somebody else running up the stairs trying to get out the building, not calling no names, but it was just interesting to see the way that you were received and the support, outpouring of support from the community. So we hope that today proves to be a successful day for you. You definitely are someone that should be in that office, and we will keep you in our thoughts and prayers and keep moving your name forward today as we talk to folks right up until 8 o'clock p.m. tonight.
Terrific. Thank you for all that you guys do. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
We have another caller, Michelle. Caller, thank you for holding. You have a question or a comment?
I just have a comment. How you guys doing? I never met neither one of you, but it sounds so beautiful the way you conducting the program.
Oh, thank you.
So, the lady you just talked to, the judge?
Kloppenberg.
Judge Kloppenberg,
Yes,
Joanne
I couldn't
Kloppenberg.
pronounce it, but I found her name on the ballot. Me and my daughters. I had 5 daughters, and we went and voted early.
Okay.
I got ably And what this other girl named Shantia Lewis?
Shantia Lewis.
I got her. I had my daughter. Come on, I'm telling y'all who to go.
Well,
I'm
that's
being
good.
a mother, and they grown. I'm telling them what to do, but they did it.
It doesn't stop. I'm old as dirt, and my mama still tell me what to do. That's the way it's supposed to be.
I know I'm old school, but we did our vote. Now I can sit down and listen to you guys.
What number were you?
Huh?
What number were you at the polls?
I don't even know. I don't.
Oh, but you said you went early this morning, right?
No, I went downtown. I voted early last week.
Oh, last week. Oh, okay, no problem. Well, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for your support and listening and dragging them babies down to the polls.
Oh, thank you. I'm thinking God blessed me to do it. I did it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay.
We have another caller. Caller, thank you for holding. You have a question or a comment?
I got a comment. We just had a vote over here ourselves. We hope you look as good as you sound and tell Sherman he's fired.
Do not fire Sherwin. Sherwin needs his job.
We need a Sherwin.
Everybody child support payments to make us something. Don't fire Sherwin. Sherwin got to have his job. But thank you so much for your call.
We appreciate you.
We appreciate it.
Callers, if you want to call in with information from the polls, count number, where you were when you voted, if there's any irregularities at the polls, please give us a call, 444-5250, 444-5250. Is that you telling me we need to take a break? Okay. So we're going to take a break and pay some bills.
It'll be a real long break. It's like an hour.
We're going to you got me messed up, Michelle. Take a break, pay some bills. You're listening to Your Vote is Your Voice here exclusively on 860 AM WNOV. The Voice will be back after the break. Welcome back to this special Election Day extended edition. Your Vote is Your Voice. In the studio today, we have Michelle, the buck naked truth Bryant.
We're going to stop that.
That's your name.
That cannot be the name.
And Ptosha Davis, Ptosha with a P. And you know what, Michelle, we did a schedule, but clearly we can't go by the schedule today. So I know that you have been waiting for this call at least an hour.
Don't make me sound like a groupie.
Okay.
Don't make me sound like
45
a groupie.
minutes.
My son.
So I'm going to hand it over to you. Go ahead.
I think, do we have Congresswoman Marsha Fudge on the line? Hey, Congresswoman.
How are you?
I'm good, Sora. How you doing today?
Fabulous. Even better now that I know who you are.
That's right. For those that don't know, the illustrious members of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Congresswoman, it is a pleasure to talk to you.
It's my pleasure indeed. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. You know, you have had an amazing history and career serving the folks of Ohio. I have followed you for a while. And to say that the work that you have done, whether it's been in terms of community work on education or specific early childhood education, the work done with the Congressional Black Caucus, which we attend every single year. We come to the annual conference. The work has been amazing, but one thing in particular that I've had my eye on that you just introduced earlier this year, the Low-Income Sewer and Water Assistance Program, kind of reminds me of what we know of, I think, today as our Energy Assistance Program.
Yes.
Congresswoman, given what's been happening in Michigan, Flint in particular, and the water scenario there, even here in our town, we've talked about the need to replace these lead pipes or pipes containing lead in the Milwaukee area in houses that are 100 years older or more. Do you think that we may need to be looking at something on the federal level to address this? I know our mayor was just talking about the laterals that go into the homes that homeowners would be responsible for. Could be anywhere between $7,000 and $10,000. Do you think, as you look at this kind of legislation that you're putting forward today, that this may be something that we also may have to think about?
There's no question about it. When you think about the fact that most of these local communities are governed by the federal government. And so what the government does, I'll take my own state, for instance. They will say, you need to replace all these pipes, you need to do A, B, C, but they don't give them the resources to do it. So what they then do is charge people like me and you. And so our water and sewer rates are going up so high that it literally is putting people out of their houses, those who can afford to do it. But more importantly, the resources don't come in fast enough for them to clean up these pipes, for them to change them over. So what happens is what happens in places like Flint. because the resources that the federal government requires that these local governments come up with just isn't there. The money isn't there.
And that's one of my questions, because when we looked at what happened in Flint, they talked about this was in the hundreds of millions of dollars to be able to replace these laterals going in and out of folks' homes. Where do we look at getting money like this from?
Let me just say part of it really is the federal government's responsibility. I think that what has happened, and I don't want to be necessarily partisan, but let me just tell you what has happened. Once the Republican majority took over the House and started to say that the most important thing for us to do was to cut the deficit and to cut budgets as opposed to make sure we take care of the people who need us the most, which really is government's job, is to take care of its people. They started to cut things like the things we're talking about. They were pushing the local governments to take on responsibilities that really probably should be federal responsibilities. So not only they were cutting our budgets, but they were putting the responsibility on local governments who don't have the resources.
Right.
And that's why we end up in this place that the billions of dollars that are needed to fix our water systems, and I mean it is billions across this country.
Wow.
If we don't come up with it, no one can, because local governments will never be able to do it.
So I think that is an excellent segue into the purpose for your call, because clearly then that talks about leadership at the top and regaining control of some of these seats that we need to, but that's another conversation for another moment. Right now, we know that you are a supporter of Secretary Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
And we have been going back and forth. We've had some pretty good conversations today. Some amazing surrogates have called in on behalf of Secretary Clinton. I think that everybody has offered their own unique twist on why it is that they support Secretary Clinton. You will actually be the first person that's called in today that has actually served with her, worked with her. Mm-hmm. Can you give us some insight into, the secretary, her temperament, her demeanor, her work ethic, why it's important that she be the person that we select today in the Wisconsin primary?
I would certainly be happy to. First off, I know her. And when you know a person for a long time, you know what their history is. And so I think that what people have done in the past is an excellent indicator of what they will do in the future. So if you look at the records of those who are running, the only person who has a record of consistently over the last 40 years being active in black communities is Hillary Clinton. If you look at a person who stands up for children the way that all of us know our children need to be supported, the only person that does that is Hillary Clinton. When she was the first lady, her chief of staff was black, or black woman. Her assistant was a black woman. When she was the Secretary of State, her chief of staff was a sister. She understands our community better than anyone else who is running on either side of the aisle. And her history shows that she is willing to step out and make change. I mean, we're looking right now at early Head Start. That's Hillary Clinton. At CHIP, the Children's Health Insurance, that's Hillary Clinton. When she first got to the Senate, one of the very first bills she worked on was racial profiling. So I just think that we need to look at people's records. I can say all kind of wonderful things. I like her. She's my friend. She's this. But look at the records. Talk is cheap. Let's look at what they've done.
And in some cases, talk isn't even cheap. It's expensive when you talk about college education.
Right.
I'm sorry, Congresswoman. I was having a moment. Well, the racial profiling piece, again, that's what I've said has been cool about getting these individual surrogate calls. That's the first time we've heard that today in relationship to Secretary Clinton. Could you expand on it a little more? Because I think it's one of those things we've been dealing with a number of things here locally, as many people in many municipalities have around the country. But can you speak a little bit about the racial profiling piece of legislation that she worked on? And I know that, again, in looking at some of the issues that have been important to you and thinking about your past leadership as a former mayor, somebody who's managed, who understands, what it takes to actually fully pull off running government. Could you speak to some of those things?
No question. I'll be happy to. Let me just say this about racial profiling. Why do you think that one of the first groups of people that Hillary Clinton met with was the mothers of these slain young men? right now, as surrogates, she has Trayvon Martin's mother, Eric Garner's mother, Sandra Bland's mother, Jordan Davis's mother,
John Trey Hamilton, right here in Milwaukee. That's right.
Aditha, all of them, because she went to them not only to express her concern about what was happening in this country, but to understand how the police killings and those killings, even some of us killing each other, has affected these mothers in these communities. She didn't have to do that, but she did that because of the legislation she did almost 15 years ago. One of the very first pieces of legislation was to come in, when she went to the Senate, was to stop racial profiling. It was a big deal. But you don't hear very much about it anymore.
You don't. And it's amazing because we are running some commercials right now from Spike Lee. And in the commercials, they actually reference Senator Sanders' history on civil rights. And most of it predates the birth of my son, who's like 30 years old.
Precisely.
And I'm not trying to, be flip about it. I'm just being honest. And so when you talk about the record, the facts, looking at one of the callers that we talked to, she said, I think that was Miss Maxwell. She said, yeah, she got some receipts for the work that she has done. There's some proof, and they're recent. So
but the other thing I suggest is that you look at the records. I mean, look at the other people's records. Obviously, Bernie is a Democrat. I mean, not a Democrat. He's not a Democrat. He's a socialist. But neither here nor there. You talk about somebody who has been in the Congress 25 years. Now, Hillary Clinton was only in the Senate 8 years. He's been in the Congress 25 years. Not one piece of legislation that deals with poverty. Not one piece of legislation that deals with race. Not one piece of legislation that deals with any of the things that are important to us. Education. And on and on and on. So for 25 years, you now talk about a revolution, but you have not one revolutionary piece of legislation.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, I got to pick the mic back up. Hold on.
I'm sorry.
Look, you showed out, Congresswoman. Well, we got to get ready to go to a break. I would love to hold you over, but I understand the schedule that you have, and you certainly had worked hard to make sure you got in touch with us today. So thank you so much for taking the time out. And I'm going to tell you, Hillary's people need to get some of your comments and their talking points, because these are things that our community is not hearing, and I think it would make a substantial difference if they did.
Well, thank you. Please, Wisconsin, you all vote today.
Yes, ma'am. DST in the house.
You got it.
All right now.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We are going to take a break and pay some bills. And guess what? We've got another interview on the other side, Miss Hill.
No more people.
You're listening to Your Vote is Your Voice, exclusively on 860 AM WNOV, The Voice. Welcome back to Your Vote is Your Voice on 860 AM WNOV, The Voice. I am one of the many hosts that are going to be in the studio. Another one just walked in. Mayor Marvin Pratt. We have Bria Grant in the studio. But more importantly, we have Commissioner Stephanie Finley on the phone calling in with some information. Commissioner Finley.
Hi, how are you guys?
We're good. How are you out there in the field?
Oh, my God, up to my elbows out here trying to keep the lines down. I am just asking everyone to just give us some patience. Just be a little patience. It goes a long way. The lines are out the door. We really appreciate everyone coming out to vote. But if we can kind of hold our tempers, because our poll workers are basically, some of them are volunteer. It's like a side family. Give them some slack. They're doing the best that they can. I'm trying to move into different areas where the lines are long, trying to help out. So I'm just asking the community to bear with us today.
Okay, thank you so much, Stephanie, for calling in. And we will make sure that here in the studio, we continue to convey that message that at some of the locations there are long lines, but that you are aware of it and that you're working on making sure that everyone has an opportunity to vote. And we want to thank you for continuing to call in here to the radio station to keep us updated.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Stephanie be getting it in on election day, man. We gonna have some coffee for you
when you get here. It's a little cold. You might
Mayor Pratt just walked in. It's on him.
We have another caller. Caller, thank you for holding. You have a question or a comment?
No, I have not a complaint of mine, but I voted at St. Mark earlier, about midday, and she voted at Phyllis Wheaton, and I called to see if she had voted. I always check on my children to make sure. And she said where she voted, it was horrible. She said that ballots were sticking together and they hadn't got it taken care of. And
is that at Phyllis Wheatley, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Do you don't know what wards those are?
No, I know
okay.
It's on... no, I don't.
Okay, we'll find out at Phyllis Wheatley. Thank you so much. But everything was okay at your polling site?
Beautiful. It was, St. Mark's was so well organized. It was unbelievable. But she said it's really chaotic where she went.
Okay, and which site did you vote at? Which polling location?
St. Mark Church on Atkinson 113 and 114.
Okay, thank you so much for calling in with the information. We appreciate you. We're going to take this one last caller, and then we're going to get to this interview. Caller, thank you for calling in. You have a question or a comment?
Comment. Hey, this morning I voted at 11:45. And I was voter, 116. That's in Russell Stanford district. I was in and out so fast. I should have looked at all the numbers and everything, but,
Oh, but thank you. Thank you for calling in and letting us know. We appreciate it. Go ahead, Michelle or Bria, Marvin.
Yeah, thank you. Information. Look, I just voted.
Just take over the mic.
I just voted at Rufus King. I voted earlier. I just went over to Rufus King to check on the vote. 1,200 people eligible to vote. 2,200 eligible to vote. 600 had voted.
Really? Wow. Mm-hmm. Well, for folks that didn't know, that is the infamous Marvin Pratt.
Oh, thank you.
First African American mayor, city of Milwaukee.
Thank you.
How you doing, sir?
I am doing good. Got involved in this election, helping a candidate out, and so I've been busy doing that and just following who are the best candidates for the city of Milwaukee. Now, we have been joined by one to my left. Okay.
Can we just let you do the interview so we can stop talking?
Yeah.
So
I want to make sure I got the pronunciation of your last name, Kais.
That's right, Mayor. Thank you so much.
Sure. Gene Kais, who should be elected judge if we come out and vote. And we have been voting. And so, as I said, about 25% of folks at King have voted already. I would expect that would approach 40-45% at least.
All right.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out the way. We got Bria Grant sitting in the studio. Look like super cute. Dude, we on the radio. This is not TV. Teeth all. You done spent time putting a little whitening strips on your teeth. Look at all extra fabulous.
It's the most important day of the year.
Really?
One of the most important days of the year, right? Outside of your birthday.
No, I just want to say, I have on Mitch Mac socks and I look crazy. And you walk in looking like a supermodel.
I had to look like I don't feel.
Okay.
Elections give me a lot of anxiety. A lot of anxiety.
I'm going to turn it over to y'all and let y'all take care of that.
So I do. I really like to get, I had to set my atmosphere. I need to be, this energy here. Oh, my goodness. Ptosha and Michelle, you guys are doing an awesome job. I've been listening to you all morning, Michelle. It is really good to have this energy, and it's good to have Mayor Pratt in the office. In the office.
I wish.
What you say in the Freudian slip? As well as Judge Kais, and so we definitely want to talk about some of your work that you've done here in Milwaukee County. But I'm going to let our mayor take. You should have been our mayor.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a very exciting time. It seems to me too. Seems to me that this should be a holiday. Or in other words, we should ensure that everyone comes out to vote. I can't think of any more individual responsibility that one could have that we should exercise. So all of you who have not voted yet, I know you will. I'm just here to listen to the judge or to the attorney and in her position. I did read her bio, some of it, and some of the issues that she's concerned with. So, with that, I'm open to hearing from Jean Keyes too.
Thank you, Mayor. I really am grateful to be here, and thank you all you ladies for having me in the studio. This is a great day to be here with the election going on, and I think we should celebrate it. I'm Jean Keyes. I'm running for Milwaukee County Circuit Court Branch 45. I've been a lawyer for the past 25 years, and I've had the privilege of representing lots of really wonderful people in all areas of the law. I have about twice as much experience as my opponent, and so I've had the privilege of representing people in the community in civil cases, in criminal cases, as their guardian ad litem in family law cases. I've represented children. I've just done a lot of really good work in the community, and I hope that I can take it to the next step and be elected as your next judge in Milwaukee County Circuit Court.
I just want to ask because sometimes we assume people understand what our role and our position entails. Can you share with our listening audience what are the duties of the circuit court judge?
Sure. There are 47 different circuit court judges in Milwaukee County. Each of them is elected for a 6-year term. And what happens is once they are elected, the chief judge, who is currently Maxine White, a wonderful lady, she assigns you to a division. And so typically new judges are assigned to misdemeanor court or to children's court center to work with juveniles who are delinquent or in need of protection or services. There are other divisions. There's the civil division. There's the felony division, the drug courts, the homicide courts, the probate courts. All of those are typically handled by judges with much more experience.
Is it an open seat? It's an open seat right now.
It is. What happened was the governor appointed a young woman to this spot at the very, very end of August. And on September 7th, after consultation with some lawyers and judges, I announced that I was going to run against her.
Okay. Very, very similar to his appointment of the state's Supreme Court justice.
Very similar. In fact, Mayor Pratt, this is actually the seat that was vacated by Rebecca Bradley when Governor Walker appointed her to the Court of Appeals and then subsequently to the state Supreme Court. And so this was actually one of her very best friends who was appointed. So that's how it goes.
Okay. Well, we're enthused about your candidacy, and I voted early, as I said, and so I know you have. Well, I can look through the of the people in the room. I'm sure you have about 5 or 6 votes here.
I'm grateful for all of them.
Wait. Can we show the enthusiasm?
Amen.
So that will require everyone to get out and show your support and vote for Judge Jean Keyes. Is that right?
That's right, Michelle. Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm sorry. They said I wasn't doing the interview. My bad.
but that was a very cool transition and exit because we definitely don't want to hold you up from the work that you may have on this day. I talked about the anxiety it gives me. I'm not even a candidate, so I can only imagine, all that is on your shoulders. Yeah.
Thanks, Bria. We worked really, really hard to get out the vote. In the past 8 months, we've met so many really great people. It's been truly a great experience. Now let's get this job done, okay?
Awesome.
All right?
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
We will be looking. Oh, wait. Are you having a celebration party?
Oh, yeah. Everyone's invited. We're having a party this evening at 3 Lions Pub on Oakland in Shorewood. So please stop by. And I always say have some food and some fun with us because we are really a fun group. So thank you. Vote Keyes for Judge for 45.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Look, she got the little Congresswoman more flavor at the end with the little rhyme. Jesse Jackson is. No. Y'all didn't hear it.
Yeah, vote Keyes branch court.
45.
Yes, I heard that.
Jesse
I like
Jackson moment. Y'all some haters. All right. So,
yeah, it was Jesse Jackson on earlier, right?
Yeah, Jesse Jackson.
Yeah, I was like, look
he
at that.
actually did a piece that got printed in the Chicago Sun-Times. And, he was reflecting on, yesterday was the anniversary of the assassination of Dr. King. And he was, every time, and again, I apologize for folks who heard me talk about this earlier, but when you hear Jesse talk about the bullet grazing his head, traveling to ultimately be lodged in the side of Dr. King's neck. And I have had people that have, in their moments of foolishness that tried to ridicule Reverend Jackson's presence. People you're trying to take more credit for what really happened. But you can see the photos. And Jesse Jackson is right there, kneeled down next to Dr. King, this is something that has to be seared in this man's mind forever.
Forever, yes.
And so to have him call in, and basically he did his piece on the Voting Rights Act and the suppression tactics that are happening around the country, but he zoned in on Wisconsin because we know that Wisconsin now has the harshest, the most stringent laws as it relates to what you can use for voter identification or photo identification at the polls. So it was pretty remarkable to have him call. And, the one thing I couldn't help but think about is that, like, we, not wishing nothing on nobody, but we will be losing some of these people soon. And to be able to have somebody who, I'm on the radio yesterday talking about Dr. King's assassination, and the person who was on the balcony with him was on the phone today.
Right. Mm-hmm.
How many more times can that happen?
Right. I think that also reminds me, too, that it wasn't that long ago, that all of these things happened, that we had such a great leader, snatched from us, 50 years ago? Not even 50 years ago. So I think for me, it just helps me internalize how close I am to that era, and that, all the change that is happening or lack thereof since then. I guess I don't see it requiring a whole lot of time for us to pick back up and go in the direction that so many individuals, paved the way for. And that's one of the anxieties I get behind the election, because we don't exercise like we should, considering the sacrifices that were made regularly without thought. That, I know I'm probably going to get lynched. I know I'm probably going to get killed. I know my family's going to be threatened for me taking this position. I know these things may come to me, and yet so many people did that for us. And I know sometimes people, like, oh, that was, that
was then.
This is now. It's so close, though.
It's so close. It's like sitting on the other side of you.
Right.
The question for me arises. You ask yourself, where were you?
Right.
And I can ask myself, where was I?
Well, hang
when
on.
That happened.
1 second. Do we need to take this call? Let's take this call, because I don't want your story interrupted.
Okay.
Because I can tell it's going to be good. Hey, caller.
Hello.
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 Yes. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. I was going to say that it was 48 years ago with Martin Luther King, but I wanted to ask the question was, I thought Bill Clinton was supposed to be here yesterday. Did anybody know? I didn't hear anything about that.
He was here.
He was here over at Turner Hall.
Oh, okay. So, but they didn't say anything about that on the news. So I was wondering. I didn't see it on the news.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. He was here like 1:30, between 1:30 and 4 o'clock over at Turner Hall. It probably got drowned out by all of the Donald Trump no-shows and Bernie Sanders event yesterday.
Right. Also, I wanted to say that in talking to a lot of the young people, and I was wondering, what was their reason, because there seemed to be a lot of hate going around for Hillary. I was working with the Hillary campaign. Some of the gentlemen, guys, went over by Bernie's, and in Bernie's campaign over there, I'm not saying Bernie's peoples, but some of Cruz peoples and Trump peoples, they've been given false information, false rumors, I should say, about Hillary, and the young peoples are taking that, because I got into a conversation with a young lady, and she was saying, I said, well, where did you get this information from? She said, oh, well, we heard it. I said, but did you go online? And she says, no, but, and so young people are taking it, those rumors, and taking it to the next person and the next young person.
What was
where a
the
lot
information?
Of that's going.
What was the information? Negative information.
Oh, that she's not fighting for us. She's not fighting for the $15 an hour for them, and that she keeps flipping and flopping, and that Bernie is not taking any money from the super PAC. And I said, yes, he has. He has done that. But he's trying to put it all on her that she's taken out. And, like I explained to her, she's a mother, she's a woman, she's a career woman. Somebody paid me for making a speech, I'm going to take it. That's what you do. You have a job. But that's some of the things that is going on. And I've been, talking to a lot of young people, but it doesn't seem to sink in. But another thing is that I've realized is that I don't think the kids realize, young people, I should say, realize that Bernie is a socialist, that he's not a Democrat. And this is another thing that they thought, that it doesn't matter, but to me it does. I'm a diehard Democrat, and if you're not Democrat, I'm not going there.
Well, he's running as a Democrat, so it would seem to me that we would be, I'm going to say collectively as people, farther ahead, whoever is elected. I will say I'm a Hillary supporter, but I don't think we should be negative toward the other candidates who's on the same ticket.
Well, I'm not being negative toward him, but to me, he's not. He's running as a Democrat. He said he will become a Democrat once he wins. So to me, he's not a Democrat. So
No.
I mean.
Well, my comments were addressed to those who were negative toward Hillary Clinton on yesterday.
Okay.
But it goes both ways.
Yeah. Well, and talking to, the only thing that I've heard about him was that he's a socialist and that he hasn't been around for 30 years and that he hasn't done anything since then. So where has he been? And that was my point. Hillary's been there all the time and she's been fighting for us, but he hasn't. And he just come in and, but anyway, to each his own, but Hillary is my girl and I'm going to stick with her.
It's good.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. So I'm getting ready to get out the way for real. Like, for real. We need to take a break. When we come back on the other side. Why are everybody looking at me? When we come back on the other side, whatever, man. When we come back on the other side, we are actually going to hear from Marvin Pratt. We were talking about recollections, where you were when we heard about Dr. King's assassination. And we're going to hear something from the memorable voice of Polly Williams when we come back. And since we just on old school lane, we going to hear from Spencer Cox. My sidekick. See, it's some instigators.
Than the alternative.
That's right. It's some instigators in here. LaToya Sykes just came in here being messy.
Hi, everyone.
Whatever. So we will be back with you on the other side.
Welcome back. I am one of the many hosts this afternoon on this special edition of Your Voice is Your Vote. Bria Grant in studio with LaToya Sykes. Miss LaToya.
Well, hello to the live listening audience on this very special voter election day. I'm super excited to be an American today, to get out and exercise one of my many rights.
It is definitely, it is what our duty is as an American, right? That we dictate how our dollars are spent, the policies that govern our lives. We make sure that those, and this is something that not many people they can enjoy this luxury of being able to go and decide who's going to oversee the resources for your community, for your area. And in many countries, they're told, "Look, this is who it is now.
This is what's happening. Just step in line."
Just step in line. No, Toya, we don't do that very
Not
well.
at all. It was hard to wait my turn to speak on the mic.
I'm not even supposed to be here right now.
Exactly.
We have our treasurer, Spencer Cox, with us, who we're just very, very honored to have your time on this day. You've been in and out all morning. We appreciate that.
Well, I've been in and out just because I'm on the ballot, and I want to make sure that everything goes well and people have their opportunity to vote. It's been touch and go out there. Some people have been very easy, very no stress, and then other people, they have crowds, they have lines, and it's been hard to stand in line and wait for your turn to vote. That is true. I want to remind folks that when they do go vote, they should use both sides of the ballot. I went to a coffee shop earlier, and guy says to me, "Hey, I voted," and he said, "Were you on the ballot?" I said, "Yeah." "Did you turn it over?" He said, "Huh?"
Oh no.
So I want everybody, because they were reminding people with the early voting about turning the ballot over. And I want to make sure that people know that you're supposed to fill out both sides of the ballot. If you do not, you'll miss. I think you'll miss the mayoral. You miss
You'll miss one of the two, one of the many important
executive, county executive,
county exec,
and the city treasurer.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Before we go further, I want to kind of revisit what we talked about before our break.
Yes.
And Mayor Pratt, you were going to talk about, some history and perspective, and then we're going to hear a voice from the past. So why don't we go there?
Yeah, briefly. April 4th, 68, driving down Fond du Lac Avenue, hear the news of Dr. King. I'm on my way to Orville Pitt's house, who at that time, he was the alderman, 1st District. So I went by his house and talked to him briefly. But we can remember where we were when Dr. King was assassinated, but what's more or as important, it's what have we done since then.
Yes.
In other words, have we moved the needle some? Have we been concerned about others other than ourselves, and have we tried to lift folks up? So, it's why it's kind of somber. Yesterday was, and of remembrance. It's also a day, I think, of rededication. And you two young ladies don't remember that, but the city treasurer, Spencer Cox, he was around then. and what do you remember about that, Spencer?
Well, I remember that in 65 and 66, I had done a ton of marching for open housing. And walking on the south side, which at that time was very much predominantly white, you would get bricks thrown at you. You'd get what looked like water but wasn't water tossed at you. And after a certain time, I just said, I'm not doing this no more, because I'm an African-American male, and I don't like it. And I tried to do the nonviolent thing as much as I could. But after several marches, I stopped. You're right, April 4th, 1968, when I found out that Dr. King had been assassinated, it just changed me. And we had a march here in Milwaukee, and there was a march in Racine. And I went to both. I always told people I wasn't going to march no more. And when he died, in his honor, I marched in both those places. And it was a rededication for me, because I was a young activist, and when 68 came, that year, 68 was a traumatic year.
Yeah, it was.
But, nothing more so than Martin Luther King's being shot and killed. So I rededicated myself, because at that time I wasn't a political person. Plus, I was a teenager, but I began to look at politics at that time, and you were saying how did we rededicated ourselves since then. I was trying to think, what have I done? And I marched in Washington D.C. in 1986 for anti-apartheid in South Africa. In the early 80s, I got elected, and then I started helping other people, including yourself. And a lot of people at the time said, well, the guy is new, he's untested, all that kind of stuff. I said, yeah, but I've worked with him at the city. He is good with union things. He's good with African-American things. I don't know if you remember them.
Well, I remember that very few, if any, folks. I ran against an incumbent, Roy Neighbors, who was a good person and a good alderman, but he said he was resigning. And so I said, I'm running in this seat. And he decided not to.
You moved back into the district.
Yeah, I did. I moved back where I am and where I've been for the last 32 years. And I got very little support. I remember you were the only elected. Were you elected at the time?
Yeah, I was elected.
You were the only elected person who supported me. I remember Brother Booker Ash and Orville Pitts. That was about it. If I wanted to hear some noted people who were supporting me, that was it. So Spence, I'm always I do remember that. I do remember that, and I always thank you for that.
Oh, that is so sweet. Oh, my gosh. This is so awesome. I mean, really, just to sit in between the two of you, and I'm turning my head back and forth, just listening to all this history and this wisdom that is, captured in the both of you. And I'm sitting here and I'm blessed to be able to have access and tap into you. But so many of my cohorts don't have access to the wisdom and experience of individuals who have, beat the pavement in this realm of politics. And this is a very strategic area of life, very calculated. You need lots and lots of wisdom and discernment to be able to survive, so to say, and make it to the level that you gentlemen are at. Help me understand what fundamental values allow you to be able to tread the water or navigate the oceans of the political world in Milwaukee.
Well, let me say, I think what happens these days, sometimes we tend to lose sight, based on observation, of why you're there. In other words, you want to try to make a change and try to make that office mean something for someone other than yourself.
Right.
I remember my wife's cousin told me this when I was elected. She said, "Oh, Marvin, you got elected, but it's going to only mean something positive for just you." And I would say, "Gee, I hope not." I mean, and that's what it should be about. In other words, that you made some positive change that helped the people you represent. Most folks I've always represented are African American folks, and so we lose sight of that these days, I think, because oftentimes people view even that first office as a stepping stone to get to the next. And if you get there, what can you do to make some changes? You can streamline lines at City Hall where folks don't have to wait to pay their property taxes. You can deal with zombie properties and foreclosures where a lot of our people aren't losing their homes based on not paying property taxes. So once you get in position and you look at it and you say, what kinds of things can I do? There are a number of things out there. Some are more difficult than others, just dealing with the poverty issue and unemployment and underemployment. One of my signature kinds of two things. One, driver's license, where a number of folks, driver's license improvement program, where a number of folks got their driver's license back. And also I introduced a residency preference program where I said X number of workers' hours in certain projects have to be performed by people who live in the block grant area. Right. So it wasn't race specific because it couldn't be based on the Supreme Court challenge. And so right now they use that based on Northwestern Mutual Building. So RPP, that's what it's called, Residency Preference Program. And it took me a year to pass that legislation. And it's still in it, and it still is in effect. And it is probably the primary tool that's used to ensure minority participation in the workforce on a number of public projects.
That's true, and Malele Cogs, who just happened to be related to me, and
happened to be running for her reelection in the 6th Automatic District.
Right, she's doing that extra step that as an elected official you have to, because you can do the RPP.
Right, but if you don't monitor,
there you go.
If you don't monitor it,
right.
If you don't follow up on it, which oftentimes when you pass legislation, you'll not forget about it. You may have other things on your table. That's exactly right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's a really great point, Mayor Pratt, that we want to touch on when we come back from this break. You are listening to WNOV 860, The Voice, a special edition of Your Voice, Your Vote, with a number of hosts and guest hosts and hosts.
Hostess with the mostest.
Yes, this is fun day. This should be a day celebrated. We want to make sure everybody gets out and vote today. The polls close at 8 p.m. Make sure you give us a call here, 414-444-5250, with any numbers from polling locations you're at, or as well as any concerns or questions you may have. Continue to listen on WNOV 860, The Voice.